upsells can add up to 10 to 30% of revenue for e-commerce brands. They're hugely impactful. Not only that, they can actually also improve your profits because you're often adding on products to an existing order. They can also potentially improve retention because you're getting people to try potentially additional products if it's a cross-sell into something else and getting them to try out more variants. And it can also boost your average order value, meaning that from a pay perspective, you can work with a higher cost of acquisition. So they're incredibly impactful. And today I'm going to show you what tools you can use for that to set that up for e-commerce. We're also going to look at different tips and tricks for when you're setting that up, all the lens I've had of years of doing this. And then finally, we're going to walk through some examples of what you can use. I'm Daphne Tideman. I'm a CXL instructor on the growth strategy course, and I'm also a growth advisor and consultant to D2C brands. So I've been doing all of this for 10 years, and I'm excited to share my learnings with you today. So let's start with a specific type of upsells that we're going to be covering today, the post-purchase. This is such an impactful one because you're getting them in the moment of buying, and it's very low friction for them to add it in because you're often doing it with one click, either on the thank you page or before that, to get them to just add something extra after they've added the payment details. When doing a post-purchase upsell, there's two different tools that are very popular for Shopify. There's many more, but these are the tools I've worked with the most. After sell is very simple and easy, quick to set up. If you're not technical, I think it's a great one. It's more speed over customization. You can customize things and it's getting better, but it's a bit more simple in terms of setup. If you want to have something more customized, more personalized, then I would recommend Reconvert instead. They offer a more branded experience and a bit more premium. So especially for premium brands, go for that. In terms of pricing, they're very similar. The only difference is that Reconvert adds a small percentage. I think it's like 0.75% for every upsell order. So just keep that in mind too. They might appear a bit cheaper overall, but they can be slightly more expensive because of that additional fee if you're using it a lot. Now, when it comes to upsells, personalization is key. Really personalizing it to the person who you're upselling to. If you don't do this, it can actually devalue your product offering by having the same discount every single time. And it can also worsen the experience, especially for new customers if the standard upsell you're doing is a bit too pushy and trying too hard. And then finally, it can be a bit irrelevant. So you don't want to keep offering the same product at a discounted price because eventually they'll just know, I'll just buy one and I'll get a discounted offer and I don't have to do that, buy it at full price. Or they'll get frustrated if they keep buying it at a lower price and seeing it discounted afterwards. So a great example of this is for a wavy hair brand. I bought their main kit and then they upsold me a deep conditioning mask that went really well with the products I was buying at half price. And I was like, yes, let me just add that in and bought that. And that updated my order and increased it by £11. Here are all the things though that I wish I had known sooner if I was going to do this for the first time ever. Discounts are needed. I've initially tested out a bit of like, let's just try to upsell, cross-sell them to buy products at a normal price. But the truth is they've already spent money and then there's no real urgency in it. And that urgency and delivering that urgency is really key. This is a special offer we're giving you. It's only one-off. It's not going to happen again after that. And that's where the discounts can create that sense of urgency. The other thing that I tried out in the beginning was testing lots of different products versus just one. And obviously you should always test it. Sometimes with a bigger collection, more options does work. But it often gives them choice stress and what is a very impulsive decision. So I found in most cases, one clear offer is better than just a blanket discount of, hey, you'll get 20% off everything else you buy. Just being really specific, add this for this reason, and here's why. The next is don't be too aggressive with those offers on the new customers. So a lot of tools will allow you to then offer an upsell, and if they decline, offer a different one, or if they accept, offer another one, and do quite a bit around that, doing it in between, doing it on the thank you page. That can be a bit much. You need to remember that you don't have that trust yet with the new customers. So you only want to do stuff that really adds value to them. And that isn't too much that they feel like, oh, you're just trying to get me to spend more, but is really related to what adds value to them and feels really relevant and isn't too much of an increase in terms of spend. The other thing is hierarchy of importance. So you can have different offers that apply to the same group of people. And the way most tools work is that it chooses whichever offer you've put first to show. And you really need to think about like what's the importance of each one, what's delivering more value, and play around with that. I've seen sometimes that I've added in a secondary one later on that if they've already seen the first one, they see the next one. And that's actually performed a lot better. And by just switching around those orders and taking the time to really think about that, I could deliver a lot more impact. Spend some time also segmenting those orders. So really looking at like how big is each subsection and is it worth creating an offer for them? Spending some time segmenting your customers down into the subgroups of like, okay, what are people who bought 2 or 3 times one off that I want to upsell with a subscription? Is that even big enough? Sometimes in the beginning, I jumped straight to setting up those funnels, but then I'd realize after spending all this time, the segments were tiny and I wasted a lot of time when I could have actually just checked in Shopify or whatever e-commerce platform I was using how big those segments were. And then the final thing is just be really considerate of how often you show an offer. You want to make sure that if an offer is something like everyone who buys this product but not this product, that it's not showing every single time the same thing. There'll be a bit of fatigue around it or get less effective, but also you don't want to get them into what we talked about earlier of really used to having that offer every time. Here are some examples just to get you started. I'm not saying I've covered every single possible set of upsell, but it's just to get you thinking beyond just, the simple setups and thinking also about kind of the rules and the logics behind it. The first is try other variants. This is really great for food, drink, beauty, those kind of products where it's like you want them to try more variants to find something they really like. So for example, here we have Whole Up, which is a superfood meal shake. We're encouraging them to get additional flavors in the smaller trial pack at a discounted price with free shipping to try that out as well. And it's adding on to that order on the thank you page. The other one is complementary products. So this is an example that's on the Upsell website where KitchenAid is basically showing all these extra products that you can get and save 10% on and add in when you're buying your KitchenAid. And again, you see that really nice urgency at the top of like, you've only got 5 minutes to basically decide. So here we're really trying to complete the set and explain the benefits of adding them in. Treat yourself. These are kind of like small little add-ons of like, while you're at it, why not add it on? Here's a great example from Native that Shopify shared, where they basically showed adding on a travel size toothpaste. So it's the same product, but like a smaller format. And they're highlighting like, what can you use it for? You can choose your flavor. And there's some really great social proof of how many people have bought it. I wasn't sure what to call this, but I've just called it a non-physical product category. And what I mean with this is things like courses, ebooks, sustainability upsells, warranties, just like all these like non-physical products that are really great if you're struggling with low margin. So here you see an example of via the reconvert for 10 tree, where they're showing like different ways that you can offset your carbon footprint by planting trees, for example, and reducing your emissions. The fifth and final one is if they're on a second or third purchase, is pushing them to subscription. You can do this earlier, but it can be a bit too aggressive. So really test this if you do this on the first, second, or third order. But you can really upsell also people to subscribe. This is really helpful because it can just highlight that if they've missed the subscription or weren't sure about it, that they can basically change and subscribe. And they basically then will see like, okay, I'm accepting terms, I'm switching to subscription. You can even communicate, which we haven't done in this example, but that they're even getting money back on their order, which is a really nice one. And you're actually dropping the AOV with this, but you're really improving that lifetime value with it. And you can see at the top here, we're really communicating for the same brand as the first example, all the benefits of subscribing. So upselling is such a great way to boost your revenue and profitability as an e-commerce brand. If you're not doing already, the post-purchase type that we've covered here is a really impactful and beneficial way to do this. As you can see, there's so many different ways you can do it. And if you have already a few SKUs and you're already, on, let's say 20, 30K revenue per month, it can really add a lot in to try this out. Give it a go and let us know how you get on.